morning, guys. Crazy couple hours. I don't know if I ever went home last night. I had this in my locker, so I figured I'd dress with it. So. Hi, guys. I appreciate you being here. Our kids and our coaches have been through a lot in the last 24 hours. My focus now is the next 9 games and conference games. How do I inspire these guys to play fast, physical football? That's my number one. Making sure that I take care of the kids. That's the most important thing for me. I gave them 24 hours to grieve, and then we got to get back to business. And so that's hard for some individuals. They had a player-led meeting that went very, very well, and they're all in. I had a meeting with our coaching staff, and we are all in. It is a bittersweet because Coach Edwards is my dear friend and gave me the opportunity. This opportunity, on the grand scale of things, is a dream for me as well. And all I can ask is for opportunity. So what do I do with that opportunity in the next 9 games? Is to try to put a product on the field that the Sun Devil Nation is proud of, and I'm going to do my best. And you'll get every effort that I have, heart and soul, into this program. I wanted to thank Dr. Crow. I had a conversation with him, as well as Ray and Gene and the senior staff, and it has all been positive. So I'm ready to get to work. I'm glad we had one more day off that is non-mandated for our kids to come in so I can catch my breath a little bit before practice starts. But I understand I don't take this lightly. I'm an Arizona guy. I've been here for 20-some years. I understand the landscape and what it means. My kids are born in Arizona. There's not one coach that I think in the nation that loves Arizona and is in place at Arizona State that it'll think can do a better job than I can. That's just the way I always bet on myself. But just to let you understand, my kids are Arizona kids. And so this means a lot for me. This means a lot for my family. I get emotional. I think this means a lot for the coaches of Arizona and their dreams and inspiration for them. So I got a lot on my back, but hopefully to prove them that my success is achievable. I've been coaching for a long time, and the success that I've had has not been a secret. It's about loving kids. It's about inspiring kids. It's about being a good teacher. And then the last part is about listening to them. The face of kids, their understanding of what's right and wrong nowadays, you have to be a listener and understand them. And I think I bring a pretty good trait into that with the experience that I have. So at this time, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Start with Michael, then Hode.
Coach Michael Caratino, Sideline
Michael.
Sports. And you talk about obviously Coach Edwards being a good friend, and when a coach at any level gets let go, players and other coaches feel it. You said you talked to the team, but what was your message to the team about that to keep obviously fighting this season?
I was put here 4 years ago with Coach Edwards, and he gave me this opportunity. And everybody knows that story. The same opportunity that he has given these kids with their scholarships. I let them know yesterday that we need to pay him back. It hasn't gone well, and unfortunately, there's parting of ways. But our job in the back of my mind is to make sure that on Saturday night when he's sitting at home, that he's smiling, he's thankful. But I owe all of my gratitude to him. And so it is hard. It is hard.
Hi, Shaun.
Hey,
Hode, Devil's Digest. When you sit in that first meeting as an interim coach, how challenging is it with the 10,000 other challenges you have right now to sit in that offensive meeting, and now you're the one really running the meeting, and then you're bouncing to the defensive meeting with Donnie Henderson? Just from a pure X's and O's perspective, how hard has this transition been?
I don't think it has been hard at all because I've had that experience in doing that. I think Glenn Thomas is an incredible coach. Do I have some suggestions? Yes, I do. I think Coach Donnie Henderson with Coach Marvin Lewis are exceptional coaches. Will I have some game time suggestions? Yes, I will, especially in that moment. I let them coach. If I see something that I don't like, I'll make sure that I let them know. To me, it's about the attention of detail. I had a meeting with the coaches today, and we are not going to let anything slip by. If it's done wrong in practice, we're going to make sure it's done right. Set that foundation for these kids. I think if we set that foundation, now it's not going to be a miracle, it's going to be changed right away. But it will be changed where we don't make those dumb mistakes, as we can call it, during the games. And so paying attention to detail, understanding what the kids can do from a personnel standpoint, and then playing the right kids and personnel at the right times.
Michelle, Chris, Doug, and then Mark McClure.
Hey, Michelle.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, obviously 4.5 years ago or so, you were a high school football head coach. Could you have ever imagined being in this position? And also, what in your time as a head coach do you think, what attributes really groomed you and helped you in the situation? What did you learn from that?
It was funny, last night when I got home and talking with my wife, as soon as we walked through the door, at the same time, we were like, oh, crap. But I was in charge of 300 kids at Chandler. And we played at a competitive level. I always wanted to play the #1 teams in the country because I thought our kids could do that, and we were very successful in doing that. I feel the same way here at Arizona State. I think we have the talent to challenge anybody. I thought we were a couple plays away in the Oklahoma State game to be right in it, but miscues, I think, cost us. That mindset has not changed. I feel I have the expertise from a game management situation, and I'll fall a little bit on Marvin Lewis as well, but that hasn't changed. I think we can compete with anybody in the country. I like the challenge of competing with the 3 top 20 teams right off the bat. If I came in and we challenged a team that was mediocre and we got to win, so what? Now let's go and win these next 3 games. And that's our mindset, and we'll attack it full go. Now, all I ask my kids is to play physically, play physical, play fast, and play smart. And let's see at the outcome how that comes.
Hey, Shaun. Chris
Hey,
Carlton,
Chris.
Son of a Source. Can't even imagine the range of emotions that must take place in a situation like this for you. But can you walk us through maybe what yesterday was like from the morning all the way through the evening, and kind of how you learned about what was going to take place in each of the step along the way, and kind of what happened subsequently?
I didn't learn till later in the afternoon. I came in and we had a staff meeting. Prior to the staff meeting, Ray and Gene met with me, with Coach Herm, and that was an emotional deal for Ray and Gene, myself, and Coach. They gave me my blessing and asked me if I would take on the responsibility to be the head coach. I accepted right then and there. The hardest thing was meeting with the team with Coach Edwards in there, because I know how he feels about those kids, and our whole coaching staff feels. And so that transitioned from there. We went to a staff meeting, let them know that I need them. And we then went to our team meeting, and at that time, Ray and Coach Herm addressed the team, and so I had a few words of encouragement for the team on what we're going to look forward to. And then I met with the leadership staff yesterday, and they provided a ton of insight for me, and they were all in. And again, like I said, they had a team all-team meeting today, and so I'm excited to get to work tomorrow. I think our coaches are too.
And then, yeah, just to follow up on that, like, you must have some inkling of, here are steps 1, 2, 3, 4 for me. So what's your insight on that?
There is going to be subtle change. There's not going to be drastic changes. There is going to be subtle changes that I'll put a thumbprint on. And that might seem drastic to the kids there because they're such in tune to a routine. But I think those are subtle changes that need to happen for us to be successful. I asked my coaches in the 9 or 10 weeks that we're going to play to give it all for me and our team, and for our kids mostly. And we all agreed. And so I got here at 5:30 this morning, and there are 7 coaches here already. So that tells you a lot about the type of men that are taking care of our kids.
Doug over
Hi, Shaun. Doug
Hey,
Haller,
Doug.
The Athletic. I believe when you came in, did you say you didn't sleep at all last night?
No, I don't know. I just tossing and turning probably. You know, it's funny because I always keep a notebook on the side of my bed, and I always jot down things. And I went back and checked this morning. I had like 27 things. So I don't know if I slept at all or not.
You mentioned the 24-hour grieving period.
Yes.
Bad loss on Saturday night.
Yes.
This news on Sunday. That's a tough 1-2 punch. Have you been around? The kids are off today, right?
They're off today, yes.
Okay. What are your concerns about them bouncing back? Kids are resilient, but that is hard. What are your concerns about them bouncing back so quickly?
It's for us to push forward. Here's how I see this whole season: is the last 3 games were preseason. This is where it all counts now. These next 9 games, and so we are at 0-0, and we are ready to play Arizona State football. And I'm here to inspire these kids to play that, and I think we're ready. So looking back at those 3 games will do us no good. I think we're going to look forward. This transition has been hard, and it's been 24 hours, but in reality, we got to get ready to go. And so I'm excited. If you look in the coaching world, there's probably maybe less than a 1% of people that have the opportunity that I have. What you do with that opportunity is what counts. And so I look for that challenge. I'm excited, and I'm ready to go, Doug.
Mark and then Jordan.
Hey, Coach.
Hey,
Mark
Mark.
McClune, 3TV, CBS 5. Hey, just wondering, when you made the jump from high school to college, the biggest difference moving from high school to college, and how much did the last 2 years on the staff here prepare you for this day?
Well, like everybody, you know, being fortunate enough to be successful at the high school level, you thought you knew it all. I was in charge of, again, 300 kids. I came here, I was in charge of 6. There's some days I walked the hall and didn't know what the heck to do. But that transition of learning from Coach Herman, learning from Coach Marvin, and learning from Coach Billick, and learning of from all of the guys' predecessors on what to do, sometimes what not to do. But that has set me in a place that I feel comfortable to take the lead of Arizona State, and I think I'll be successful. I do have my thoughts on things. Of course, I do have a little bit of ego when it comes to thinking that I can do it, but I always going to bet on myself. So that transition from the high school to college, the recruiting part is probably the biggest transition. The X's and O's, the loving of the kids, the teaching of the kids, the inspiring of the kids, all of that does not change no matter what level you're at. Thanks.
Jordan Spurgeon behind you, and then Julia.
Hey, Coach Aguano, Jordan
Jordan.
Spurgeon, Sports 360 AZ. Doubling down on that a little bit, when you were at Chandler High School and you were just getting started there and taking over that program, did you ever imagine that you would be in this situation, especially at a school just 20 miles away from where Chandler is?
Never. It's funny. About 15 years ago, I go to the Arizona Coaches Convention. And that first year I was there, I sat about 40 rows back. And I heard a successful high school coach speak. And then I heard a Division I coach speak who was a former high school. And I always thought, shoot, I want to be that guy. And every year I moved up for 15 years. And then I sat in the first row. And I told my wife, I said, I think I can be that guy. And she said, well, wherever you're at, you have to make sure you take care of your business. And she's the rock of it. I mean, today I woke up and she told me to just get with it, man. Come on, let's get going. But going back to that transition, that was a dream of mine. I like I said before, I always bet on myself. I could see myself up there every day, and now I'm up here. It's the opportunity that I was asking for. Now, with that opportunity, you got to go make sure that you can keep that opportunity. And that's my plan. I also want to make sure that I can keep my coaches and families at Arizona State, too. I mean, that's on my back, too. And I want to make sure that we can keep our kids at Arizona State with this transfer portal and everything. So we need to make sure that we do a great job in the next 10 weeks so there is no change. And that's my goal.
And one more thing, too. So yesterday I happened to be on a Twitter space, and Chase Lucas actually hopped on. He'd already heard the news about what was going on, but he didn't know that you were named the interim. And he found out on there and said he was going to call you. Did he do that?
He didn't
How'd
call
that
me.
go?
Didn't? He's probably sleeping in. And I love Chase. I've had him since he's 12 years old. To the good times and the bad times, we all know Chase. But he's a remarkable kid, and I'm so happy where he's at right now.
Julia, then Luke.
Hey, Coach. Julia Lopez here, 3TV, CBS 5. Congrats on this
Thank you.
opportunity for you. Seems like Sun Devil fan base is a little bit deflated. What would you want to tell them to really get behind this team for the next few games?
I am going to ask for their support. I'm going to ask them to help us in this hard times. I understand the last game that we've played, it deflated them. I think it's a chance for us in a new season with the conference coming about that we can prove a lot of the naysayers wrong. But again, I'm going to ask for their help. You've got an Arizona coach who loves Arizona in this spot. Now let's come and help an Arizona guy stay here. What the heck? So I am going to ask for that. There's going to be some subtle changes so that I can engage with the fan base a little bit and get their support and put our kids out there as well. But I understand they're deflated, and only winning solves it. But I want to put a team on the field that plays hard every single play, and we'll see what the outcome comes at the end of the game.
Coach, Luke Glidden here with 12 Sports. Congrats again on the opportunity. You know, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. You were talking about how it was a dream of yours to be in a position like this. Now you find yourself here. A lot of hard work to get you to this point. What do you think you learned the most in your coaching career, maybe perhaps the last few years with Arizona State, that you believe will lead you to success in this position and hopefully have some longevity with it?
That's a great question. Waiting your turn, and you try to infuse that into the kids. All freshmen think they should play right away, and they really don't understand the process, right? As a coach, you see what you see ahead of you in other programs or whatever, and you think you can do it. I've learned that you have to wait for that process and learn. If you do what you're supposed to do where you're at, those opportunities will come. And I've learned a lot to sit back and be quiet, learn, and then when your opportunity comes, make sure you take full advantage of it. And I think that's every day in life. Everybody wants instant gratification without putting in the hard work. I think the hard work gets you that gratification. So I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited.
Pass it to Noah right here.
No?
Hey, Coach. Noah Furtado, Son of a Source. I know you've mentioned how much of an impact it's going to be that from Arizona, been coaching here for a long time. But there were some stories that surfaced towards the end of your time at Chandler that sort of talked about how your island upbringing influenced the culture there. How much of that do you think will play some role here in this new position?
That's something that I'm going to try to instill. That family environment. The thing that, and people can always talk about faith, family, football. Until you really understand and let the kids into your life and see what you are about that family, you really can't talk about it. And so how do I instill that? That's my family being around our kids, our coach's family being around our kids. Football is just a game. If I can teach them more than that, I think they'll be successful. Again, guys, I get a little teary because football is my life. Inspiring kids are my life. My kids sacrificed 20 years so I could do what I loved. I want to make sure that I teach not only my kids, but I want to teach our kids that being a successful father, being a successful citizen in society, that's the most important. Now, let's all drop that and go play football, right? And so, but that ohana, that is a huge meaning for me because it's all about family. And so I will instill in the next couple of weeks a couple of things that I think that will help our program.
Hey,
Coach. Zach Crenshaw.
Hey, Zach.
15. Congratulations, first off.
Thank you.
Yesterday it was said it was a mutual agreement to part ways. You mentioned that meeting and that it was emotional yesterday between Ray, President Crow, yourself.
Yes.
Can you give us a sense of kind of what was said in that meeting and why was it so emotional?
I wasn't involved in any of the mutual of parting ways. The only part I was involved was the handing over of the torch. That was it. The only question that they asked me was if I would accept the job. And Herm was there, gave me a huge hug. I told him I loved him, told Ray and Jean that I accept the job. That's about as far as that meeting went. And then I walked out. And then I walked into my office and kind of did a little dance a little bit. A sad dance because of Coach. And then I called him and texted him last night. And he's in a good place. And that makes me happy too. So.
Do you have a new contract?
You know what? It is funny. Like I go back about just the waiting part. Let's get the job done, and then things will come after. I don't worry about that part. I got kids to worry about, ready to play football. Good question, though. I'll keep that. Thank you.
Kent Summers with the Arizona
Kent.
Republic. It's such a delicate situation being an interim coach.
Yes.
You've hit on it, being sad for the guy you're replacing, yet you have your own ideas. Have you reached out to anybody yet to help you through that? Anybody who's done that before, or being in this business for a while, you kind of know?
There's been stories of coaches on our staff that have been through that transition. And I was very fortunate that 3 people on our staff yesterday pulled me into the office. And they came in, first of all, to congratulate me. Second of all, to let me know and give me knowledge of they've been through that process. This is what the interim coach did that was positive. This is what the interim coach did not do that didn't do and hold his words right, and it was a negative consequence. So I learned from that. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a good listener, and so I take that all into account. So I wrote every single one of them down to make sure that I don't make that mistake. And I'm fortunate to have coaches on the staff who I truly call friends to give me that knowledge too. So do I lean on them? Yes, I do. Absolutely. Joe Conley was one of them. Robert Rodriguez was the other. Marvin was the other one. And there's a bunch of them just here and there, but those were the 3. And that I respect tremendously. Yeah.
Coach Jordan Ham, Sports 360.
Hey, Jordan.
Hey. How are you looking to hopefully utilize resources who have NFL head coaching experience like Brian Billick and Marvin Lewis moving forward?
I have to make this my team, right? They have incredible experience from the game planning. I will lean on them on how to handle situations because now I'm going to be in a position to make hard decisions that deal with our players and that deal with our coaches. The one thing that I've learned is that you always make sure that you take care of your kids and your program first. There's no ifs, ands, or buts in regards to feelings. Your kids are the people that you take first. And so I'll never put the program and the kids behind any of the coaches. They come first. And so I will use their expertise and their knowledge to give me some insight into situations that might occur.
Right next to you. Then Ethan after that.
Shaun, congratulations. Calling
Thank
on
you.
ABC 15. Ray had said yesterday that whoever the next coach is full-time moving forward, they have to be more in tune with the current college landscape.
Sure.
As you get set for Utah, USC, and trying to get guys ready for football, how do you kind of envision being successful in that if you are the guy to hopefully take this job full-time?
First of all, it all comes down to the recruiting aspect of it. Having the right kids at Arizona State is number one. And my goal, and I've told this to our coaches today, on the recruiting basis, and I'll be out there on Friday at the game, I will personally recruit Arizona kids. I know their coaches. I know what they are about. I know what the kids want. I've sat on the other side of that and what they're sold against. I will personally recruit Arizona kids. They have to be a good fit. They have to be athletic for us to win. We have to get kids that are at the same athletic ability as the teams that we're going to face. The NIL and all of that stuff will play its part. I think that Arizona State has a plan to catch that up. But it all comes down to the kids that you have in your program. And we'll start with Arizona. I'm in a position right now for the next 10 weeks to make an impact to get our kids in Arizona to be excited about Arizona State football. If you do not win and you put a poor product, people are going to look elsewhere. And I understand that. We have to make sure that these kids want to go nowhere else but Arizona State. And so my conversations with these kids will be personal because I understand them. No other coach, I think, can recruit to Arizona State with the knowledge base that I have here in Arizona.
Ethan, and then Jack.
Hey, Coach. Ethan Ryder, Sun Devil Source. You talked about having 6 guys that you're in charge of as a running backs coach. It's
Yes.
safe to say you have a few more now. But as someone that's been the running backs coach, what's your expectation for your involvement with the running backs still now that you are the interim head coach?
That has been sad, too. We have promoted one of our analysts who has been working with me for the last 2 years with our running backs who is very knowledgeable, has the relationships. To me, it is about the relationship with my kids that is the most important to me, and he is a great fit. Will I pop into that room occasionally? Yes. And the hardest thing for a position coach is when the head coach is your position coach and coach your position because you have every answer, right? So I want to make sure that I help our running coach develop. I want to make sure that I keep that relationship with that running back because they're a special group of guys that help us win football games. And I asked them last night, I called each one of them and asked them last night, I need their help. And they was like, Coach, we're all in. And so I know that they got our back, and I for sure got their back.
And to follow up, you said it's sad. What do you think you'll miss most about being a specific position coach?
Just the X's and O's part of it, the game planning part of it. Now there's so many external factors to deal with as a head coach from an administrative standpoint. And then being a counselor to everybody as well. So there's many hats at the head coach, and I've done it for a long time, and so I understand that. You do miss the X's and O's part. The game time gives you that sense of it. Meeting with the coordinators and the team, I will sit in all the meetings, so I better understand what's going on both sides. The hardest part for me is you're always an offensive guy. So I really got to stand on the defensive side of the ball at practice. So it's the defense guys don't think that I'm favoring the offensive guys. But I'll always trickle back in there. But I have all my confidence in Coach Glenn and Coach Billick that they'll put together a plan that will be successful for us.
Last 3 questions, Jack, Luke, and Chris.
Hey, Coach. Jack Loader, Devil's Digest.
How you doing,
You
Jack?
mentioned how chaotic the last 24 hours have been. How much time have you had to reflect, and are you going to remind yourself on Saturday night to really kind of soak things in on the field?
I have none so far to reflect. My wife put it in perspective this morning. She said, just go have fun. You ask your kids to go out and work hard and have fun, right? And how do you do that? I'm going to have to work my butt off and then at the same time have fun. It's kind of weird in my crazy mind. The only time I have fun when I win. I mean, that's... it's when I win with my son in a little basketball game, that's when I'm having fun. If I'm losing, I'm not. So in my crazy world, winning is fun for me. And so when we win, I'll have fun then.
Coach, I know family is big for you. I know you have
Yes.
4 kids. I'm curious, when you shared the news with them that you were named the interim head coach, what was that reaction like? Was there crying, jumping around, screaming, maybe a little bit of all that in between? I'm curious what that was like.
They were always, oh, holy crap, Dad. My oldest daughter is playing basketball at Virginia Commonwealth, and she has some games coming up. And I've talked to every single one of them. Our household last night felt exactly like when I got the head job at Chandler. That support, that uneasiness, that craziness that will come with it. It felt like that. And so last night at 9:30, all of our family got together on the table, and I missed the craziness of our household. With the two older ones gone, we became too quiet. And now the two go into their room, play their phones, whatever. But last night, it felt really good because everybody's around. It was loud, like it should be. But the excitement in their voices and just them understanding that dreams can come true. And so I know it's cliche, but in my situation, it has.
And Chris up here in the front with the last question.
Yeah, Shaun, you talked about the recruiting importance being paramount. This is a unique situation that you're walking into. So what are the priorities really over the next few months to make sure that you guys are identifying the right guys, high school, junior college, transfer portal, if that's the case? And then do you have like carte blanche basically in adding whoever you want as far as commitments and signees?
Absolutely, and we'll be thorough with those commitments and making sure they're the right fit. Again, I will personally go and recruit the Arizona kids. We're going about making sure it's a right fit. Now, there's going to be some hard questions and answers that the parents are going to ask, but it's all fitting. There's a right fit for everyone at Arizona State, the right ones. My job now is to first get our team ready to play football. Second, recruit the best players in Arizona. Winning helps that. The more you win, the easier it is to recruit, the easier it is to sell. So if I were to put in priority, my job is to win first, and then with that comes the recruiting part of it. And recruiting is a 24/7 deal. And I think I'm ready to stay up 24 hours a day, but no, Chris, to go back to that point, is it tough in this world? Yeah, because I feel sorry sometimes for the high school students because of the transfer portal a little bit. But I think there is so much to sell here at Arizona State. I've lived it. I've been on the other side of it, 20 miles away for 20 years. There is so much here that I love about Arizona State. And so I'm ready to get to work.
Just to follow up, because you have like you even said, a very rare perspective. There's a lot of sort of commentary from people in the community about ASU maybe not taking as many Arizona kids as it should. But where you sit, you talked about needing to have guys that are athletically on par or better. So how do you deal with all of that, the politics of all of that stuff in your situation?
I think with anything, you have to be straightforward. In my case, as the former running back coach, I was allowed to take one individual. Now, when I go and search the whole nation, that number one individual has to be special. I didn't really care if it came from Ohio or Virginia or Arizona. If it is even and a kid wants to be at Arizona State, that's the guy you go for. I think that there's so many choices out there that people make different choices, but I will personally, like I said, go after those guys, hopefully flip those guys that have committed somewhere else, but understand from an authenticity level that I'm an Arizona guy. This is the reason why you need to be here, and we'll see what happens.
Coach, do you want to address the media availability?
Yeah, guys, on Tuesday, our media availability will be a couple of sessions, I think period 2, 3, and 4, and I know Jeremy will be with you guys. I need time with my group from a foundational standpoint to get them ready for football. So on Wednesday and Thursday, it will be a closed practice. That won't be forever, but I need time to make sure that I set my standards with those guys and expectations and get those guys ready for a game against Utah. So I apologize for that, but that's just the way it's going to have to be this week.